that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
All you heard from Matt Gaetz there is elect a speaker who's better. Better. I mean, that's how my 4-year-old talks. What do you want for dinner? I don't know, something better. Well, we've made this, mac and cheese. What do you, better. I mean, that's how children act. They don't understand, right? And that's what Matt Gaetz is doing here. As much as he makes some decent points, it is true that Kevin McCarthy made some pledges back in January when there was 16, 17, 18 votes to get him that speakership. He did break some promises that were made back in January, including giving members ample time to read bills before votes came to the floor. He hasn't kept that. It is true that, they were on a 6-week vacation. All of that is accurate. I'm not going to sit here and argue any of that with Matt Gaetz. But you cannot let perfect be the enemy of good, because unfortunately we find ourselves in a Washington, D.C., where Republicans barely have any power. They have a very slim majority in the House. The Democrats have the Senate. And, of course, the Democrats have the White House. Anything that you get through, anything that you want to get through, has to pass the Senate and the White House. And I don't like the makeup of Congress right now. I sure as heck wish it was a lot different, as I know many of you do as well. But all you can work with is the parameters that you're given. And Republicans do not have a strong hand to play right now. The House of Representatives is not a parliament setup, right? I mean, they are just 1/3. That's all they are when it comes to legislation in Washington, D.C. and for the country. So Matt Gaetz, who, he makes some good points. We have devalued the dollar. By the way, Republicans did that in power under Donald Trump as well. So let's not act like, and this happens all the time over the last 20 years, Democrats get in power, they start spending. Republicans say, oh, my goodness, look at the we can't afford this. Yeah, I agree. And then you guys go ahead and do the same darn thing. $33 trillion in debt. Donald Trump, with a Republican Congress, spent trillions of dollars that we didn't have. But now is the time to take a hard line and a hard stance. You know what? You got to win elections. And Republicans 1 year ago in the midterms did not do well in the House, didn't do all that well in the Senate, lost key races, Arizona, Pennsylvania, everything else. They did not do well. And guess what? Elections have consequences. So I'm not sitting here waving every Kevin McCarthy pom-poms. I don't care about him. I kind of, enjoyed it when all the nonsense was going on back in January trying to get him elected. And people were freaking out, oh, this makes Republicans look bad. No one remembered it after about a month, which I predicted. And this thing, too. I mean, is this going to be the thing that people are thinking about when they go to the polls next year in 2024? No. They're going to think about their own lives. They're going to think about where the economy is at. That's what they're going to think about. They're not going to think about this squabbling inside of D.C. I mean, you're waking up this morning here in Kansas City, and are you like, oh, boy, I didn't sleep too well last night. Kevin McCarthy lost his speakership. No. I mean, unless you're related to Kevin McCarthy, I don't think you feel that way. Can't imagine. So it's not, but you still need to have a plan. And that's what I struggle with. Not that Matt Gaetz feels like he was lied to, because he was, in part. Not that he's, claiming that he is fighting for more fiscal responsibility. That's all great. I mean, I lead the way on that. Go Matt. But in the end, you got to have a plan. And you have to have a next step. And there is no next step. As you heard from Matt Gaetz yesterday, he has no plan. And that's why a lot of people perceive this, as Mark Alford, Missouri congressman, said on our show the other day, this appears to be very personal. There is an ethics investigation into Matt Gaetz that it's believed he wanted Kevin McCarthy to stop. Kevin McCarthy did not stop that. So this was always going to be an outcome that many expected. It was just a matter of when. And then, of course, you had 7 other Republicans joining Matt Gaetz in basically finishing off Kevin McCarthy's career as Speaker of the House. By the way, who had a shorter tenure? Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House or Aaron Rodgers as Jets quarterback? I mean, it's kind of similar. He blew out his Achilles on the first drive of the game, and it's kind of what happened to Kevin here. I mean, geez. Guy shows up and, 9-10 months in, sayonara, see you later. I don't know how he keeps going. It's got to be incredibly embarrassing for him walking around town, John.
Turning him over faster than the press secretary.
Yeah, that's right. That's so true. 913-408-7710. I know a lot of you are going to want to get in on the conversation here. That's our studio line and our text line on KCMO Talk Radio. And view this through the prism of I'm all for Kevin McCarthy. Most of us don't care who the Speaker of the House is. They don't impact our lives. They don't impact our day-to-day, right? That's very inside D.C. But if you are looking for more Republican power in D.C., what does this do to help? And that's the question to ask yourself.
Nancy Pelosi cares.
Yeah.
Did you see that the pro tem gets her office, so she had to move out of her office?
I saw that. He kicked Pelosi out of her office.
He said, laughing.
Good riddance. Oh, that's, what, if there's anything good that comes out of this, it's that.
The trickle down.
Yeah. Pelosi gets the boot from her own office. Oh, that's just absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Yep.
She's a real beauty.
6:13. It's going to be quite a day. Bottom of the hour, Ron Estes, Kansas Congressman, 4th District down in Wichita. He is going to join us and react to this breaking news from last night. Kevin McCarthy out as Speaker of the House on KCMO Talk Radio. Now, I do think it is fair to note, and I'm hearing from some of you on the text line who are, rah-rahing Matt Gaetz, who led the way for Kevin McCarthy to be blown out as Speaker of the House. And as I've said, I don't lose an ounce of sleep over Kevin McCarthy not being Speaker of the House. I don't care. I don't think it impacts your life today. It doesn't impact my life today. But if we're going to do this whole thing about, who's being honest, who's being ethical, who's looking out for the folks, everyone has their agenda. And there is a belief that part of Matt Gaetz's mission here is to figure out a way to get out of the ethics issues that he is being investigated for, including a misuse of funds. So that seems to me to be at least important to note, right? So since the spring of 2021, and we talked about this at the time, Matt Gaetz has been under investigation over allegations he engaged in sexual misconduct and illicit drug use and shared inappropriate images or videos on the House floor. Misused state identification records, converted campaign funds to personal use, and accepted impermissible gifts under House rules, among other allegations. By the way, what are the inappropriate images on the House floor? Like, you think it's like funny memes? Like, I don't know. I have no idea what that even means. But anyway, that's part of the allegation. The concerning one here, illicit drug use. I mean, I don't think anyone should be doing illegal drugs. That being said, if you took Washington, D.C., and you banished them for illicit drug use, there would be nobody left.
To say, how far do you have to throw a rock here?
Exactly. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Converting campaign funds to personal use, that's obviously an issue. Sexual misconduct, obviously an issue. So this has been going on for 2.5 years. And the belief is that Matt Gaetz wanted Kevin McCarthy to end this ethics investigation into him. Kevin McCarthy has said publicly that because this was opened under the last Congress, this investigation, legally he can't do anything about it, and he's not going to do anything about it. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just telling you, I believe, because I understand how Washington, D.C., just a little bit, works. Everything is deal-making. Everything is slapping someone's back. What am I getting out of this? What are you getting out of this? That's how life works, but it's certainly how life works in Washington, D.C.
Operate plan back burner. Right? Slow the process.
Yep, exactly. So I just wonder how much of that was part of the decision process there for Matt Gaetz to ultimately say, you know what, I'm pulling the plug on McCarthy. He's got it out for me, and now I've got a reason to get rid of him as Speaker of the House. Mike's in Kansas City. Hey, Mike, you're on KCMO. Good morning.
Yeah, the only people that benefited out of this were the Democrats. Now, go back a couple of years when Gomer Pyle was upset with the Kansas Republican Party, and he basically got Laura Kelly, the Democrat, elected. I would love to see who is the major donors to Gates and how much influence Democrat donors have with him the way they had with Gomer Pyle over here in Kansas.
Yeah, that is, Mike, that's a great point and a very good question to ask. By the way, he's referring to Dennis Pyle, the state senator. I had to look up Pyle's first name because we've been calling him Gomer now for years.
Right.
So it's Dennis Pyle here in Kansas who ran for governor as an independent. And a lot of us, when you look at the numbers, believe that Gomer Pyle, as we now have dubbed him here on the show, is the reason that Laura Kelly, the Democrat, won re-election in Kansas instead of Republican Derek Schmidt. But Mike brings up a good point, right? I would love to know who the donors are for Matt Gaetz. I'd be very curious to find out who that is, who they are. Because oftentimes, once I'm the most fill in the blank, conservative or whatever, I mean, are they really? Who's donating to you? That's what I want to know. Because Democrats are loving this, to Mike's point. They come out very big winners in this drama. Like, I get it. I don't really care if Kevin McCarthy's speaker. I've said that for the last 25 minutes now on the show. But Democrats love every single bit of this. And just to be clear, Sharice Davids, our Kansas congresswoman, 3rd District, she voted to oust Speaker McCarthy, as did every single Democrat, by the way, in the House. All of them voted to get rid of Kevin McCarthy because they understand that this is good for them. The chaos is good. You'll have the national media covering this top to bottom. This will lead the storylines, of course, MSNBC, CNN. They don't have to talk about Bidenomics. They don't have to talk about Hunter Biden. They don't have to talk about the border. That's the other part of this that should not be overlooked. The media is having a field day. This is, they love this. Meantime, we've got record numbers of illegal immigrants flooding the border. No idea who they are. Hunter Biden still got himself in a world of hurt, potentially. No one's going to be talking about that now. The economy remains incredibly stagnant. 50-some-odd% of people think it's going in the wrong direction. Oh, gosh, we don't have to talk about that now either. We can just talk about this Washington, D.C. drama that most people don't care about, but, it makes Republicans look like a clown car, so we're going to do it. Mike is right to bring that point up. Democrats absolutely love what is going on right now. And that's why when push came to shove, they ultimately all jumped on board. They did. And by the way, Kevin McCarthy was quoted somewhere, I saw this last night, of saying that Nancy Pelosi said to him privately back in January that if anybody tried to oust him as speaker, they would have his back. And of course, they ultimately just stuck the knife in his back, is what they did. It was 8 Republicans and, 208 Democrats who voted to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. Every single one of them did that. The majority of the Freedom Caucus, the most conservative group in the House of Representatives, the majority of the Freedom Caucus did not vote to oust Kevin McCarthy. So ask yourself who benefits the most here when you have that information. No group more conservative than the Freedom Caucus, and they elected to keep Kevin McCarthy as a whole. There were some who didn't, obviously, who joined Matt Gaetz, but the majority of the Freedom Caucus said, no, this doesn't make sense. We're going to keep McCarthy. You tell me. Yeah, I know. I'm concerned, too, about this whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing. Trust me, it's got me all... I don't know. I've lost more sleep over how Taylor Swift's relationship with Travis Kelce could sabotage the Chiefs, far more than I'm losing sleep over Kevin McCarthy not being Speaker of the House.
Yeah, there's that.
Right? I mean, of those two things, I have been much more concerned about the Chiefs' future with Taylor Swift now in tow versus, what's going to happen to the House with Kevin McCarthy no longer Speaker?
Well, see, I think that these two are looking at life after what they're doing right now. Like, Travis has 2 years left, maybe, to be elite in the league. So I think that they want to get together, have kids, I think that this is pure.
You think this is, gosh, Mark, you want to buy my beachfront property in Salina?
Maybe.
Maybe. Mark's buying this. Jeez.
My only concern is whether she can catch or not. We need help in the wide receiver room. She's got some length. Maybe she can get up to one of the jump balls.
She does have some, she's got long arms, long legs. She's tall. Yeah, she's got length.
Maybe, might be able to get open.
I mean, she's probably taller than half our wide receiving core now that I think about it.
For sure.
I mean, she's taller than Tony. She's taller than Sky Moore, right?
Was she 5'10" and a half, 5'10", 5'11"?
She might be 6. I don't know.
Close to MVS size.
Yeah. She's absolutely. Boy, all right. Well, 913-408-7710. Stu, go. What's up?
It just sounds to me, Mungo, like the question is, will Taylor Swift do to the Kansas City Chiefs what Yoko Ono did to the Beatles?
It's a very fair question to ask, Stu, and I know that there are millions of Kansas Cityans, thank you, who are wondering the exact same thing. Could Taylor Swift be the Chiefs' Yoko Ono? I mean, you can interpret that in a multitude of ways, but it's not something that is not an unreasonable question to ask. I think it's entirely reasonable to ask.
Giselle Bundchen didn't hurt the Patriots any, did she?
No, but
okay.
I don't know if you're seeing all the drama behind the scenes now. So Brittany Mahomes went out to dinner in New York City with Taylor Swift on Saturday, right?
With Blake Lively and
yes.
else. Yeah. Sophie,
and now Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend, the girl he was on and off with here a few years in town, she unfollowed Brittany on Instagram. And on top of that, these two are very close, where this girl, I think her name's Nicole, right?
Kayla
Nicole. She was in Brittany Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes' wedding party. So it's not like they were just buddies through the guys. Like, they were apparently close, where she was in their wedding party, and now she's unfollowing Brittany on social media, theoretically, because she's upset that Brittany's hanging out with Taylor Swift. So you know as well as I do, if the girls start bickering, this can be bad news here. We've all experienced it, and that's not picking on a gender or anything like that, but you've all been in the situation, as have I. The guys will be cool.
All walks of life, all income levels.
Yes, this is across the board.
Start bickering, guys have problems.
Exactly. The guys then potentially have to pick sides. Things happen behind the scenes. That's as concerning as anything else here. So I understand that. 913-408-7710. That is our text line here on KCMO Talk Radio, 710 AM and 103.7 FM. Pete Kelsey just wants someone who's going to pay half the bills. That's right. Remember that whole deal? That was one of the big beefs, I guess, with his ex, that she was upset that Travis would ask to occasionally split the dinner check. Hey, he's just keeping him honest, man. You're not going to follow that guy for his $13 million paycheck. Let's keep it real here.
Heck, if I'm Travis, I'm not splitting. It's like she can pay.
Yeah, once in a while. Oh, you're talking about Taylor.
Big bucks, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Right.
Taylor can absolutely pick up the check once in a while.
Check there.
In fact, she's carrying around the charity case that is Travis Kelce. The guy makes, $13 to $15 million a year. She's like, got to help out Travis this month.
Put your pennies away, kid. You're breaking my heart.
He's got some club car washes. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Does he really? Oh, well, hopefully.
He invested, I think.
Hopefully he does a better job than Emmanuel Cleaver did with those things. Sheesh. All right. By the way, Travis Kelce is apparently saying that he owes Erin Andrews. He gives her a lot of credit. Erin Andrews and Carissa Thompson. He gives each of them credit. There are Fox Sports broadcasters for helping hook him up with Taylor Swift. So basically, they each said that Travis was worth Taylor's time, and now the two of them are at least seeing each other and getting friendly, shall we say. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that entails, but credit to Aaron Andrews for helping out Travis Kelce and apparently also helping him gain 1 million Instagram followers in the process. Can you believe that? I mean, geez. Travis Kelce may come off like kind of a meathead, but he's not a dummy.
No, but those will disappear at some point, inevitably, right?
True. If they break up, he may. If he had a million he gained, he might lose $1.5 million. That's a good point. Because then the Swiftie is going to be banging on their friends saying, "Hey, stop following Travis on social media."
Endorsements while you can.
Yeah, that's true. Although, can you stop doing Pfizer and Bud Light, please? I mean, of all the damn companies in the world, Travis, come on, man. Travis, guys doing Bud Light commercials?
Open up mic night for Aaron Rodgers there on the Pat McAfee show.
Exactly.
On Mr. Pfizer.
Yeah, Mr. Pfizer or Mr. Bud Light. I mean, geez. I know you're not a beta male, Travis, but you're doing a hell of a job trying to be one. You got to be kidding me. You got to follow the money, baby. Follow the money. 9:05, welcome in. Happy Wednesday morning. Now, when I say follow the money, what am I talking about? Yes, you got to follow the politicians when it comes to, Ukrainian dollars, who's on the take, what this is really all about for some. Absolutely. There's got to be an end in sight. There's got to be an off-ramp on the Ukraine monies. I agree with that. But you also have to follow the money when you talk about who is fundraising off of Kevin McCarthy getting blown out as Speaker of the House yesterday. And amazingly and unshockingly, the 8 Republicans who voted to oust Kevin McCarthy, along with 208 Democrats. Wow, Democrats love the idea, apparently, of ousting Kevin McCarthy. Geez, let's see. So 95% of Republicans thought it was a bad idea. 100% of Democrats thought it was a good idea. So let's side with the 100% of Democrats who thought it was a good idea. Anyway, I'll get to more of that coming up. But for the sake of this conversation, when it comes to fundraising, Nancy Mace, South Carolina, she sent out a fundraising message shortly after her vote to blow out Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House. She released a statement saying that she voted to remove Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. She goes, "This is not about left versus right. This isn't about ideology." Really? Because Democrats were in lockstep on joining you on this, so it seems like they were pretty ideologically driven on this whole deal. She says, "This is about trust and keeping your word, and this is about making Congress do its job." So she claims. So she sends out a fundraising note. Matt Gaetz has sent out fundraising notes around this as well. I don't know. I mean, that to me, regardless of how you feel about this, is a big turnoff. Even if you're someone who's like, yeah, Kevin McCarthy, blow him out, let him go. And I don't really care about Kevin McCarthy. I just want to know, what the plan is here. That's all. I'm not here to defend Kevin McCarthy and be his water boy. I just kind of like plans. If you're going to make a big change that your political opponents like, by the way, and the media loves, you better have a way to come out on top in the end. But for many of these individuals, like so many in Congress these days, this is much more about themselves. Matt Gaetz, according to reports, wants to run for Florida governor once Ron DeSantis is done here in 3 years. Nancy Mace, apparently in South Carolina, is looking at a statewide run herself in that state. So when these people say it's all about you, regardless of how you feel about this situation, let's just be very clear. For most of them, it's all about them. We often get in this place where when somebody does something we like, they assume it's because they're looking out for us. And maybe I'm just overly pessimistic about some of these folks these days, not about necessarily everything, but about some of these individuals that I believe they're all looking out for themselves, and that's been the case for a very long time. It's just more transparent now than ever before. So Matt Gaetz, who led this Kevin McCarthy ouster, Florida congressman, he was asked about fundraising off of this yesterday. Here's what he said.
And when it comes to how those raise money, I take no lecture on asking patriotic Americans to weigh in and contribute to this fight from those who would grovel and bend knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership, who have boo all you want, who have hollowed out this town and have borrowed against the future of our future generations. I'll be happy to fund my political operation through the work of hardworking Americans, $10 and $20 and $30 at a time, and you all keep showing up at the lobbyist fundraisers and see how that goes for you. I reserve.
Yeah, what a straw man argument, by the way. Total straw man from Matt Gaetz. Yeah, I'll be happy to take Grandma's Social Security check for my Florida gubernatorial run because you guys are, you're taking money from lobbyists. And so is he, by the way. Let's not kid ourselves here as if he's pure as day. None of them are. It's just a question of which lobbyists you're taking money from, right? Let's stop with that. I mean, that is straw men of all straw men from Matt Gaetz yesterday. Now, he brought up some points in his reasoning for ousting Kevin McCarthy that is understandable, and the Wall Street Journal noted some of this. McCarthy did make pledges back in January that he has not necessarily kept, including giving members ample time to read bills before votes on the floor. Okay, that's a problem. Yes, we're in too much debt. Yes, we have $33 trillion of it, and there's no end in sight. All of that is absolutely true. For Matt Gaetz, I will sympathize with him. I will support him on that. But once again, what's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan to get out of $33 trillion in debt? The only plan to get out of $33 trillion in debt right now in this country is... And you know what? I don't even want to say this because I don't know if this is going to be the case, but I will say it. Our best bet, I should say, to getting out of $33 trillion in debt is to elect Republicans next year who are fiscally wise and understand the issues that we're facing when it comes to our fiscal cliff. Now, they had a chance, let's be honest. Donald Trump had a Republican Congress, and they didn't do a damn thing on this front. So that's why I'm kind of saying it in a tepid manner, because I don't know what to make of what Republicans are ever going to do. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, that is 60% of the budget, and it's become the third rail of politics. Nobody wants to touch it. So these guys can scream about $33 trillion in debt, but until I hear people of principle stand up and say, these are hard conversations, but they have to happen regarding Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, until they do the adult thing and say, this is what has to happen, even if it impacts my political future, then none of them are actually serious about this. They're just, yelling at clouds, trying to fundraise, help whatever their political futures are. That's it. Because Matt Gaetz, as much as he had some interesting points, he didn't really have a better idea for who should be Speaker of the House. He's just like, well, let's elect a better one.
It's the benefit of this country that we have a better Speaker of the House than Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy couldn't keep his word. He made an agreement in January regarding the way Washington would work, and he violated that agreement. We are $33 trillion in debt. We are facing $2.2 trillion annual deficits. We face a de-dollarization globally that will crush Americans, working class Americans. Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
All right, that's what my 4-year-old says. What do you want? This is what we're cooking for dinner. You want it? No, I want something better. What's better? I don't know, something better. Well, if you're going to do this and play in a Democrat's hands, you better have an idea of what's better. Better is not an answer. And perfect should certainly not be the enemy of good, especially when all you've got, the only power that any Republicans have in D.C. is a 4 or 5 seat majority in the House. That is nothing. That is, inconsequential. A 4 to 5 seat majority in the House. Chuck Schumer's got the Senate, and, Pops there has the White House. It's it. 913-408-7710 is how you join us on KCMO Talk Radio. We will, yes, get to caller of the day, bottom of the hour. Ray Stevens, of course, he's coming up at 10 o'clock, and they've got, Mark Alford's going to be hopping on the show right at 10. Is that right, Mark?
That's right, kicking off the show with Mark Alford.
Kicking off the show with Mark Alford. That is going to be a great conversation as we hear from him just after 10 o'clock with Ray Stevens, who's now in week 3 of his show here on KCMO Talk Radio. There was a funny moment. I mean, this whole thing, once again, it's not the end of the world. None of us are going to sit here and lose sleep over Kevin McCarthy not being speaker. There was a funny moment yesterday, though, in all this that I will share. And I got to give credit to somebody who made an outstanding point on why she elected or voted to keep Kevin McCarthy, and that's Marjorie Taylor Greene.